trying to make sure everybody's okay. So this right here is the hardest hit damage that we've seen as far as the everything being completely wiped out. The next hardest part we saw, and you know, just we'll get at the desk working on it to see if on 177, if any of those trucks that actually flew off the interstate, that semi that hit maybe those two parked vehicles we saw earlier, had any damage done to them, or make sure that if the occupants of the vehicle were okay. But again, this is heartbreaking, you know, from our standpoint, because we just have to, you know, we're kind of hopeless up here watching, you know, and just, you know, bringing you the images of what this storm did. This is when it's very important when we say, hey, you guys need to, you know, get to shelter. This is why, because these storms, we're not out here because we like doing it. We're out here providing a service for everybody. So when this happens, everybody needs to take caution and heed our warnings, and definitely get to your safe spot, because this is the result of what could happen. These people lost everything here, Mike.
Hey, John, those I-beams there, those I-beams are just mangled right there.
Yeah, you know, they are. And most of them, like a lot of your single-wide trailer houses, you know, they're like an 18 or 24-inch I-beam there. So I don't know about the thickness of it, but it's still, an I-beam is strong because of its height. You know, a 16-inch I-beam is going to be less strong than a 24-inch I-beam. And these are some big I-beams, and you can just see them that are just twisted up right there. The floor, you know, you have your I-beams, and then on the outside of your I-beams you have some outridders that basically balance the load on the floor. And as you can see, these right here, then they have plywood, you know, screwed to them. It's gone. The plywood has been physically sucked off. The I-beams, the outridders, everything else is gone, leaving just, you know, some metal. And as you can see, the two firemen right there kind of going through and searching the area. But this was a definite super powerful storm. And, you know, a lot of these, they're, you know, they have to be tied down every 10 feet. So most of the time, just for safety purposes, they put them at 9 feet 9 inches, that they're actually anchored in the ground. And you can see the anchor's held, but everything else is gone, Mike.
Okay, John, appreciate that. We're going to come back to you here momentarily. Let's take the storm tracker and look at what we have. These are about ready to clear our viewing area, and they're heading up towards South Tulsa here, essentially. This one still has a big tornado on it, and that's heading, there's Slick. Slick's had a bunch of debris coming out of the sky from this tornado. This tornado is ejecting debris. It's fair to say 75 miles plus ahead of it. It's ejecting debris out 75 plus miles. There'll be debris in Arkansas, I think. They'll find that tomorrow from these tornadoes. And all the way down here toward the northern sides of Lake Eufaula, a little way south of Tulsa. That's the lead storm. That's the one that produced the damage that you just saw from Bob Moore Chopper 4. And I think it's still on the ground, and it's passing on the north side of Welty, near IXL, south of Bristow. It is heading for Slick, and it's going to go into Mulkey County and maybe far southern Tulsa County, south of Bixby and Mulkey, and up toward little town of Preston up here, and the mountain, Leonard Mountain up there, southern Tulsa County. And then this southern storm here is northwest of Okemah, and it has a tornado warning on it as well. Mason 759, Okemah 802, and then on toward the town of Okfuskee at 812. And then we're talking about the little bitty towns here west of Shakota and west of Henrietta. Those are the towns there, and it's generally north of I-40, heading over toward near and north of Henrietta and west of Shakota and north of Okemah in northern Okfuskee County into southern Mulkey County. So Mulkey County is going to have two big-time supercells go across, and the folks in Tulsa certainly are talking about that for their viewers in Mulkey County. Almost out of our viewing area, you folks in Okemah, you still watch us, of course. It is to your northwest. It'll go just to your north. The red line, center line there is about 3 to 8 miles north of Okemah. On that southern storm, the northern one has that massive tornado which continues on the ground from the damage you have seen from Bob Moore Chopper 4. Let's go to Kevin and Linda at the news desk.
All right, Mike, thank you. Now let's get a ground level view of that devastation in Shawnee.
We have Meg Alexander on the ground, and it's even worse than the ground, Meg.
I'll tell you what, I'm at 177 and I-40. I know that John Wells showed you this from Bob Moore Chopper 4, but we are on the ground now with a look. You can see where it came through, it knocked the semi over. Here is the other semi knocked down over the overpass, everything out of it, multiple cars involved. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there are a number of cars, one up the bank, one here. and they've hauled off about 2 over here already. We know there are multiple injuries as well, and we don't know the extent as to how serious right now. But again, you look up here, I-40, traffic is stopped up here. Obviously, traffic stop here on 177. This is an area you do not want to come near. This area, everything is stopped. We don't need any looky-loos. This is very, very serious and critical at this point. Again, you can see the 2 trucks behind me, multiple injuries. And at this moment, we're trying to attempt to get into some of the neighborhoods. We've already gone by a few here, and these homes, they are destroyed. We'll be on that for you as well. I'm Meg Alexander reporting live near Shawnee. Back to you.
Meg, have you been on the other side of the overpass there? Because it seemed like when John was flying over, we could see what appeared to be a black vehicle that was crushed. Perhaps you haven't been over there yet.
Yes, they're not allowing us over there, but I'm trying to see if Waleed can get back there at all. We do have word that there was a vehicle crushed, but that is what is behind that truck there, and they're not giving us a whole lot of information about the driver involved in that either. But we will try to get more information for you, Linda.
Meg, as we're looking at your picture, we were also looking at a live picture from John Welch. It appears that they're carrying a victim. Is that what it looks like to you, Kevin?
Yeah, that's exactly. John said they were bringing in the backboards to get those folks out of there. And John, it looks like that's what that particular apparatus was for, that person right there.
Yeah, well, as you know, they had him in the back of this, like, I don't know, is a 3/4 ton Dodge diesel, it looked like. And it appeared that it was stuck. So from our vantage point, you know, obviously we're speculating this time, just the massive amount of rain that they got here is going to make anything slick. But it looked like they were maybe in the back of that truck trying to get them out, just because of all the ruts. You could see some, you know, going forward and back. So maybe this individual really needed a lot of medical aid, and they were just going to put him in the back of the car and get him to a local hospital. But apparently they got stuck. And granted, we're just speculating at this time, but that's what it appeared. But now, as you can see, fire crews and you know, some emergency responders have put that individual on a backboard, and they're walking him over to an ambulance. And just the massive amount of rain that this place has got makes everything obviously more tedious to work in and more dangerous. They're slipping and sliding in mud. So, you know, at this time we're for sure exactly the extent of his injuries, but you know, we'll stay here and try and get you some more information as best we can. And at this, you know, pretty much heartbreaking, and not pretty much, it's a very heartbreaking site here, just south of the Fire Lake Grand Casino, Kevin.
It's terrible. It's utter devastation there. Let's get another look from the ground where Meg Alexander was. Meg, I know you have some new info.
Well, we do know along the lines as to what John was saying, that they were working behind us. They were not letting us have any visibility, but obviously he had it from the air of somebody being transported. Here in front, I don't know if you can see this white car right here, the damage done to that. We saw them taking that patient away, at least one of them. There's another car, red car up there. There was a white car over here. Again, those people were transported very early on, and they did not have word on their injury. You see the truck, if you see the semi, here's half of it right here, still sitting there. That driver may have been transported as well. Of course, the truck is still here and all the load out, and that one's still up there. I do believe that driver up there was fine. And in fact, someone said he was still up there being questioned. They said multiple injuries. We do not know the extent, but we'll continue to follow that for you. Back to you.
Meg Alexander, thank you very much. And John Welch, if you're still up in the air and you can hear us, can we go back to your picture? Because I think you've told us that of all the things you saw today, this was perhaps the worst damage that you saw. A trailer park outside of Shawnee, multiple injuries, perhaps fatalities.
Definitely, and the desk has confirmed that we do have a couple or at least one fatality here. I don't want to say a couple, but as Travis will back out and just kind of give you a wide, this looks like somebody got a giant cat bulldozer and just went to town on these houses. I mean, they're completely destroyed. The only thing left is the I-beams that were, you know, anchored to the ground. Everything else has been completely sucked out of it. Trees are ripped off about, I'm just speculating because I'm not on the ground, probably 5 to 10 feet off the ground, just completely ripped off, twisted. 102 runs north and south, just south of Fire Lake Casino, and it has these these very large steel power line poles that have been completely just bent over. Power lines are down on the ground. this area, you know, we're going to head back to the city momentarily, but out of everything that we've seen, has definitely been the hardest hit. And part of the reason is the construction of the homes. I mean, these are, you know, mobile homes. They have to be lighter weight to travel on the roadway, and so as far as the integrity of them is not as strong as your conventional, like, brick over frame, you know, home. That's why we always tell you, hey, get out of your mobile homes and get underground or get to a sturdy building, and a mobile home's not one. So, you know, just the trees being damaged, the water that was actually sucked out of the Twin Lakes area, and this is a, you know, I don't like to use the word a bomb went off, but it's what it appears like at this time, Linda.
John, you've seen bombs go off in war, so you would know.
You know, definitely, and it's not something, you know, that I personally like to joke about, but it's just it's a bad phrase. But this is really just some complete destruction here. The trees are ripped off. You know, the house is bulldozed down, is what it looks like. It's a total loss for this area.
And John, they're facing a bit of a deadline right now because it's becoming dark.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to hamper the actually emergency efforts at this time. I'm showing it's almost 8 o'clock now. The sun's going to set here in a half hour, and so now you're just going to be on light, and the only light you're going to get is from either some portable generators that have some lights on it, or some of those portable light kits, and vehicle lights. You know, all these fire trucks have lights to work around, but just the massive amount of damage here really limits as close as these vehicles can get to the debris. So they're fixing to get into crunch time, and I think that's why there's so many emergency responders here at this particular location, trying to assess and get everybody the help, get them out of there that they need prior to night falling, because it's about a half hour away from becoming a nightmare as far as some emergency efforts. Linda?
John, you have to wonder how they can begin to go through that rubble, finding anyone who may be buried in it.
You know, and this might sound kind of bad, but really, just from the experience that I've had with some disasters and stuff, you hear people by the sound that they make. Or, you know, I mean, if you're in pain and you're conscious and you're stuck, you're going to try and yell or moan, or, you know, so that's obviously, they're going to have to use their ears to hear. And if obviously knowing your neighbors and having a plan ahead of time, you know, will help everybody, and then they can get on the phone and call somebody and say, hey, here we are, we're safe. So just having a plan in place will allow you to make recovery efforts faster. However, if you don't have that, then, you know, at some point, lights and dogs, you know, to kind of sniff out people, and, you know, to the extent of their injuries, you kind of have an hour window that, you know, somebody could be, they could make it or they couldn't make it. You know, that's at the end of the day.
All right,
so it's going to be a tough time for them.
All right, John Welsh, we'll come back to you in just a minute. We appreciate that, and we know our Meg Alexander is on the ground at another area that was hit on the highway. Let's go back to Meg, and she has some new information for us.
Several semis overturned on I-40 and passenger cars involved as well, Meg.
That's right, and the count keeps going up with the amount of vehicles and semis involved here. This is Trooper Troy Thompson with OHP, and tell us a little bit about how this happened.
We had a tornado come through here just a little while ago. We had several vehicles that were westbound on I-40, 3 of them being semi-tractor trailers. One of them was taking off of I-40 and descended down onto 177 due to the wind and the